Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We are back. We are today going to be dealing with the time that we are in, which is the last great day, the 8th day of the feast. We want to, as always, try to understand more fully what it is that the Most High is trying to tell us with his feasts and times, understanding that he has given us a total breakdown of the plan of salvation within the feast. And so we want to be able to look at these days and times and see what it is that he is, showing us, and understanding how it is that he is teaching us his plan. So we want to get right into the situation. We want to go over and look at Leviticus. We're going to read Leviticus 23, 33 down through 44. Let me pull this up over here. Get this up on, hold on one second. Pull this up on the screen so everyone can see it here. Okay, we want Leviticus, Vayikra 23, starting with the 33rd verse. We dealt with Sukkot for the last 7 days, and now we want to go into this last portion over here. And so we see that in these verses. So if you start reading for us at verse 33.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, on the 15th day of 7th month, or 7th new moon, is the festival of Sukkot for 7 days to Yahweh. On the first day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be no set-apart gathering. There shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, which you proclaim as set-apart gatherings to bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh, an ascending offering and a grain offering, a slaughtering and drink offerings as commanded for every day, besides the Sabbath of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Yahweh. On the 15th day of the 7th new moon, when you gather in fruit of the land, celebrate the festival of Yahweh for 7 days. On the first day is a rest, and on the 8th day is a day of rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of good trees, branches and palm trees, twigs and leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days. And you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh for 7 days in a year, a law forever in your generations. Celebrate it on the 7th new moon. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel dwell in booths, so that your generation know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak on the appointed times of Yahweh to the children of Israel.
Okay, very good. So we're able to look over here and see, when we look at these scriptures, it's giving you kind of a breakdown as to the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Sukkot. It's said a few times they're talking about the fact that you dwell in booths for 7 days. You celebrate this festival for 7 days, and it gives you a why. It tells you that the Israel dwelt in booths when the Most High brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim, right? So we have this memorial that we rehearse for 7 days. But then it tells you about this 8th day, and there's no explanation for it, right? It don't talk about the 8th day because it says over here, if we look, let's see, like 41, and you shall celebrate it as a festival for 7 days, right? It gives you that, right? 42, you dwell in booths for 7 days. But when we see up here with 39, it says 39 on the 15th day, on the 7th new moon, gathering the fruit of the land to celebrate a festival for 7 days. On the first day, I guess talking about the 7 days, the first of 7 is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. But I thought we was dealing with 7 days though, right? And so we have this 8th day that's kind of attached to Sukkot, but the significance is obviously different because the thing that we do at Sukkot is dwell in Sukkots, right? For 7 days. And so we have that significance. Again, we have that there. But then we have this 8th day, this thing that's attached to it, but seems to be separate. But is it? It's separate, it's connected. It's the 8th day. Like if it was totally separate, why wouldn't it just be like another day or the first day, right? It seems like it must be connected because of the fact that they're calling it an 8th day, something in addition to the 7th. So again, what we want to talk about is actually what that is and what that represents, right? And so first of all, let's bring out our tools over here because we want to look at something here so we can gain some understanding. Let's see here. Pull our tools out here. So if we looked at this word here, 7th. Here, wait a second. Let me actually get our dictionary connected with it. Here we go. Actually make that a little larger. Okay, so if we look at this word over here, which is, let's see, Shabi'i, right? But so that word there is what's translated as 7th. Let's look at it this way. And it's from this word. So we want to look at the root, right? Because this is a derivative of something. Let's see. It's from this word here. Let's see. We click on this shebim, which is, of course, a multiple of this, right? So we still have more derivatives to go, right? If we go down, let's see, this is 51. This is the root here. Oh, wait, this is from this. So one more. This is the root right here. Let's see. Here we go. Shabbat. Okay, this here is the root of the word that is translated as 7. So it means over here to be complete, but used only as a denominative or like a number or whatever. To 7 oneself, to swear as if by repeating a declaration 7 times. charged by oath. So this is the word actually that means an oath here. It's the derivative of the word seven. But the thing that I wanted to concentrate on is this idea of being complete. So once you have this, something has been completed. If in the idea of oaths, the way that oaths were carried out, right? You would say a thing and you would repeat the thing 7 times, and then that's how you would oath it, right? You wouldn't just be like, well, I'll be up in about 15 minutes, right? But if you wanted that to be like a serious thing and you wanted to like let the person know that you was going to be there in 50 minutes, then you would repeat that 7 times, right? That's how you would oath it. But that 7 times, we see that as that kind of completes the cycle, right? These 7 times. We can see that very easily if we think about a week, right? A weekly cycle is completed with 7 increments, right? We think about the way that the Most High set up the land, that's divided in 7s, right? You have that 7th year rest. So when we look at the idea of the number 7, is giving you the idea of a completion of a cycle, right? So you have a complete thing that's complete, right? With the number 7, right? And so now with 8, if 7 is the completion of a cycle, 8, it must be the equivalent of 1 then, because you started over again into a new cycle, right? And so when we look at the number 8, you have the idea of something that's starting again. But again, in the context over here, that 8 is connected to the 7. So there's a connection, but there's also a differentiation because of the fact that, again, the feast is 7 days. Right, so we have a differentiation, but we also have a connection. Also, when you think about the Feast of Weeks, you have these weeks, these 7 groups of 7 weeks, and then you have that additional day, right? So you have that reset, which could be a type of an 8th day, but it's connected, right? So we're saying all that just to say, when we think about the significance of this 8th day, which has a bit of mysteriousness to it, we're able to understand it when we look at it and understand the significances of these numbers and see that this 8th day is this new beginning that is also attached to the thing that precedes it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that a lot of people they'll say the Feast of Tabernacles is 8 days long, and every time I hear that, I'm like, no, it's not. It's not 8 days long. It's 7 days long.
Yeah.
And then there's 8th day added to it, which is the last great day.
Yes. Which again, like we say, is quite mysterious, because when you look at it, there's a clear connection there.
It's connected, but it's not it.
Right.
Is Passover kind of like that too?
Passover.
Even though it's the first day is considered.
Passover, to me, so when I look at Passover in terms of how it relates to Shavuot, there's separate things: Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Shavuot. But they're intertwined with each other. They're connected to one another. You got to have the one to start the other one. And then even when you think about it in terms of, again, we look at these feast days, we understand that they are helping us to understand the plan of salvation, right? And so when we think about what Yeshua has done with his significance with Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. So he was the Passover lamb. And so he died when the lamb dies, right? And then so he tells his disciples, I got to go away so that the comforter, so that the Ruach can come back. And we understand that when that thing that he was talking about did indeed come back, that was Shavuot. And so there's a clear connection between his death, burial, and resurrection and the Spirit being poured out. They're intertwined with each other, even though they're separate things. When you think about even just Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Passover, as far as how I've always understood it, is dealing with a moment in time. It's that moment in time when you kill that lamb. And that was, that's a big thing with people's understanding as to when it is and calling it its own feast. But it's not really its own feast. It's its own moment in time that sets off the feast, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So even with that, there's like a distinction between the things, but they're joined together at the same time. And so this is another example of that, where we see that they're joined even to the point where it can't even have its own numbering, right? Its numbering even has to be joined with the numbering of Sukkot, but we know that Sukkot is 7 days, not 8, right?
Yeah.
And so again, we look at this situation and again, adding to the fact that when we look at Sukkot, it gives us this cycle of 7s, and then we see this 8 that's attached to it, which again is giving us this new beginning, which 8 and 1 really are signified there. And so when we look at this, right, we're able to see that it seems as if this 8 thing is bringing us back to the beginning. Right, this 8 is bringing us back to the beginning. It's kind of like taking us back to kind of a reset kind of a thing. So if we think about it, right, if we think about the big picture of what this last great day is, we could talk about it first and then we'll explain it as we go. We think about what the last great day represents, as far as what I understand the scriptures show us, is that the last great day represents actually the last great day, the last day that there will ever be, right? Because when we get to the point where the process has been completed, there's no more night anymore, right? There's no need for the sun anymore. You just have the Most High and His glory, right? And no darkness, right? We just read the other day, he's light and there's no darkness in him, right? So when we're dwelling with him forever, it's just going to be forever day, right? And so when we think about the significance of the last great day, that's where we're at, is that last great day. That's the final destination. If you think about it in terms of the significance of what we see with the feast and the wilderness, right? The wilderness was the process. They didn't leave Egypt so that they could be in the wilderness. Well, they kind of did. It was part of the process, right? They left Egypt so that they could meet with the Most High in the wilderness and serve him, what it said at the mountain. But that was a step that was included in the full situation, which was going to the land. They was going to the land is where they was. They had a must stop in the middle, which was in the wilderness, where they met with the Most High. But we find out when they actually met with the Most High, they were forming an actual covenant with him, right? And then so we're able to see that even when we think about coming out of Egypt and dwelling in the wilderness is a journey that gets you to a place, which in ancient times, you shaking a table, ancient times was the promised land. And then when we think about it in terms of future fulfillment, I guess it's the promised land again, right? Because guess what? Newsflash, ain't nobody going to heaven, right? We're not going to heaven. Heaven come down, right? We're not going to heaven like they. So heaven comes down, right? So and it comes down to a specific place over there, that same place that Israel to when we left out of Mitzrayim. And so these things just repeat themselves. So I think that it's interesting when we look at this to think about the fact that Sukkot being that picture of the wilderness experience, us understanding that our life is that wilderness experience and we're heading somewhere. We're trying to get there. We're not trying to be like those people that died in the wilderness. We trying to be like the ones that made it all the way over there. Right? And so the 8th day is the other side. Right? The 8th day is that other side. And so let's look at some scripture. No, I didn't. 8 days outside of time. 8th letter is the chet, maybe associated with the Hebrew word chai, or life, eternal life. Yes, absolutely. 8th, back to the beginning. Yes, absolutely. So exactly, when we think about the 8th day, its spiritual significance is eternal life, right? What the thing that's on the other side of the wilderness, that's mysterious. The thing is mysterious, just like the 8th day of the feast is mysterious. The scripture don't even break it down for you. We know what the 7th, we know what the wilderness thing is. We know what's plain is written there for us. The 8th day, what is it? What is it? It's manna. What is it? We don't know what it is, right? It's not clearly defined for us.
And even the eternity isn't
eternity.
Laid out for
no,
us.
It's not. We don't know what that's going to be like. We know it's going to be pleasurable and enjoyable.
Glorious.
It's going to be fantastical, right? But it's going to be great. Come on, where's the synonyms at? What is it? It's going to be all of these things, right? But that's what we know, right? All we know is it's going to be this immensely fantabulous experience that we're going to experience, but we don't know the specifics. It's kind of mysterious. But what we can see, though, is that whatever it is, it's going to be something that's reminiscent of what was already. It's going to be taking us to a place that we already was already. Right? And so let's look at, we're going to talk about that some. Revelation 22, 1 and 2. Let me pull this up here. We're going back to the beginning. It's the end of the story, but we go back to the beginning. Right? It's crazy. This is like a movie or something. It's the end of the movie, but it's at the beginning. It's crazy. Hold on. Let me pull this up here. Revelation. Let's look at it. Revelation 22. Right? 22, 1 and 2.
After it says all this.
It's on Luke. What do verses 1 and 2 say over there?
And you showed me a river of water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street and on either side of the river was a tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Okay,
very good. This is Revelation 22. Hold on. Do we got 23? There ain't no 23. 22 is the end, right?
Yeah.
That's as far as it get to, right? So this is the end over here, right? And so when we get there, or when it come to us, right, this place, right, that's there, you have this he showed me a river of water of life. There's this water of life coming from the throne of Elohim and the Lamb. Right? So over here in this place that's at the end, you have this water of life. And that's interesting because over here in the middle of this street, on either side was the tree of life. So if you got, hold on a second. So you got one tree, and on either side of the river, you got the tree of life. So that let me know that the river is coming out of the tree. If the tree's on both sides of the river got to be coming out of it. It's a huge tree with a river on both sides. I mean, with a tree on both sides of one river. Right? So the tree is huge, and in order to be on both sides of the river got to be coming out of it. Right? But we already know about the tree of life, don't we? We learned about the tree of life in Genesis at the beginning. We learned about the tree of life all the way back in Bereshit at the beginning. That's where that thing was over there. So now we have this thing going on with the tree of life, where now those people who made it to this place have access to the thing that they was denied access to all the way back over there, right? And so now it's been made possible to benefit from this thing that was created for us in the first place. But now there's some additional features over here, this water of life that come out of this tree of life. Right? Where it said over here, coming out of it was coming from the throne of Elohim. There's another place where it talks about this same kind of a thing over in Ezekiel. Let's look in Ezekiel real quick. Let's talk about the same thing. It's using different terminology. I believe it talks about the temple. Let's go over here. Ezekiel 47. 47. Let's look at verse 1. What's that say? Verse 1.
And he turned me back to the door of the house, and look, water was flowing from under the threshold of the house toward the east, for the house faced east, and the water was flowing from under the right side of the house, from the south of the slaughter place.
Okay, and let's add to verse 1. Let's go down to 12. What's that say?
And by the bank of the stream on both sides grow all kinds of trees used for food, whose leaves do not wither, and the fruit do not fail. They bear fruit every new moon, because their water flows from the set apart place, and their fruit shall be for food, and their leaves for healing.
Okay, so this sounds like what we saw over there in Revelation, or at least a version of it, right? And so when we think about this over here, and it's giving you this place where the Most High is, and from that place, which would be the temple, from that place where he dwells, you have this water that's flowing from it, right? And these trees that are in close proximity that are giving you the same type of a situation where it talks about in Revelation, where the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations. And we see that same thing over here in Ezekiel. But over in Ezekiel, it talks about this place where the Most High dwells, and it has this water coming out the same way it talks about in Revelation, the throne of Elohim and the Lamb, where it's also the place where the Most High dwells, and out of it is again this river and this tree, right? But we're looking at this because of the fact that, again, it's talking about what will be at the end, and it is very familiar to what already was. So it gives you that idea of this starting again, right? There's a connectedness, of course, but then also there's a renewal, right? Because over here is giving you this picture where there's trees on both sides, right? But over here they consolidated, and Revelation is consolidated to being just this one tree, right? And so we see this of there being kind of this renewal of this cycle of things, these things that are beginning again. And so again, we look at this 8th day, we have this idea of renewal, right? That we want to bring out and think about. So when we think about the fact that we have this place, when we think about the big picture of all of this, again, Sukkot being the wilderness and the 8th day being the destination, the thing that comes after, the thing that restarts the cycle. And again, we look back and see at Revelation where it gives us, the actual picture of us actually going back to where the Most High had ordained for us to be at the very beginning before sin entered in. We want to think about now being in that place, right? We want to be able to think about being in that place and understanding how we get there, right? Because again, this ending, which is taking us back to the beginning, if the middle ain't right, then you can't see the end that was from the beginning, right? The place that we're supposed to be. And so when we think about the fact that where we are again is in the middle, I wanted to look at a few scriptures over here and get an understanding about this this middle part of the story. So let's go over. We looked at these scriptures by heart probably, but I want to look at specific parts of these things for these particular purposes. So if we look at the New Covenant scripture, we want to look at 31 and 32.
It says, "See, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not like the covenant I made with their fathers in that day, where I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahweh."
Okay, I want to pay attention to right now this part right here. Though I was a husband to them. Okay, because again, we talking about the middle part, right? We talking about the middle section. The Most High created his creation in that garden, and we saw that the end includes that garden, right? But something happens where in the middle, where that garden that was created for mankind ends up not being all of mankind. Don't make it into that final garden over there, right? And so I want to talk about this middle section because it's very important. So if we look over here, this idea of I was a husband to them. The Most High refers to the nation of Israel as his bride, right? And another way to think about Sukkot is the wedding feast, right? Sukkot being that wedding feast, and then once that feast is over, you have eternal dwelling between the husband and his bride, right? And so again, we have to actually get to that place over there. But over here it's saying that I was a husband to them, right? Something obviously happened in between over here. But what I wanted to look at over here is the fact that for us to remember and, well, recall to our remembrance various places actually where the Most High refers to Israel as his bride or as being the husband of Israel. That was Jeremiah. We'll come back to Jeremiah 31. We'll look at something else in there. But if we look at, let's see, what is this? 54 and 5. What's that say right there?
For your maker is your husband. Yahweh of hosts is his name, and the set apart one of Israel is your redeemer. He is called the Elohim of all the earth.
Okay, very good. So we have another verse over here where it has this relationship between Israel and the father as this husband, wife kind of picture that is giving us, right? And so I also wanted to look at this over here. Let's see where it is. This. What verse is it? Oh, okay, 31 and 32 is against the verse, but I want to read 31 and 32.
For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. 32, right?
Yeah.
This secret is great, but I speak concerning Messiah and the assembly.
Okay, very good. So when we see over here the apostles talking about the whole chapter, he's talking about relationship between wives and husbands, right? And then he throws this verse in over here, this little sentence, the secret is great. I think the King James says a great mystery. What do it say in the King James 32?
Yeah.
That's what it says. It's a great mystery, right? So over here it says this secret is great. It's a great mystery. The thing that he's talking about, he just got finished talking about man and wife, husband and wife. And he's saying the thing that I'm speaking of actually is Messiah and the assembly. It's this mysterious thing. So when we look at the dynamic of the husband and wife, it teaches us about the dynamic between Messiah and the assembly of faith, right? And so again, now we have this other mystery thing that's going on. Like we have this mystery over here between understanding the man and the wife and the picture that gives, and the how we can understand the Most High's role and the Father's role and the woman's role and the assembly's role and all relation to each other. He calls this thing a great mystery. But when I look at this, it caused me to think about this whole 8th day mystery also, which also is this great mystery of something that needs to be, that is a return back to the original. Paul obviously had to tell them people about how things was because things had gotten misplaced and out of order, and now he's trying to bring back order back to the situation, right? And so, but he's not making it's not like there's new things being created. He's bringing things back to the way that they were supposed to be in the first place. And so we see that same kind of a thing. We think about eternity. The Most High created us in the first place because he wanted to have these people that was able to dwell with him, but then we had to go through all of this stuff in the middle in order to even get to that place. And so it's just another way of resetting or getting back to the way that things were created to be. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit more is the fact that we saw back in Jeremiah. We want to go back to Jeremiah. We saw in Jeremiah how the Most High talks about this idea of the fact that he was a husband to Israel, but then something happens, right? Something happens where the thing that he's even talking about is this new covenant that became necessary because of the disobedience of the people. And I think that this is very important to understand, because we have to get to the place of understanding that there is a process that each and every one of us must go through in order to be able to make it to that 8th day. Because obviously, if we was okay with being Yehuda, or just okay with being Yisrael, or just okay with being naturally a natural descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if that was all that we needed, we could just take our Sharpie that Africa got banned from earlier and scratch this out of the book over here. But the Most High had to go through a thing so that something could be rectified, so that the people who are indeed his prized possession can actually make it to that place that he created for us, which is eternity, that last great day. So the problem being that this covenant got broken, right? He's talking about this in the past tense. I was a husband to them. But we want to look at some things over here. If we go over to, let's see here, let's go back to Isaiah 54. We'll come back to Jeremiah again. Let's see here, Isaiah. Let's go down to, we read 1, I think. Let's go down to 6 and 7. What's that say?
For Yahweh has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a wife of youth when you were refused, declares your Elohim. For a little while I have forsaken you, but with great compassion I shall gather you.
Okay, very good. So when we look at some of these verses in these prophetic chapters, we see the fact that the Most High wants to be with Israel in the worst way. He said over here, for a little while I have forsaken you. Israel is going to be forsaken, right? But with great compassion I shall gather you. But I think people take that for granted, just to say that, and not think about the actual process of the gathering part. Because he said that because he said he's going to do a thing, we have to be able to understand the how of what he said he's going to do. And I think that sometimes comes the problem. And again, when we think about the Most High and who he is he's righteous and he's just, but he does not go outside of the laws that he created, because the laws that he created are a picture of his own character, right? So for the Most High to do something that's outside of his own character, it doesn't make any sense. So we can see that the Most High wants to be with Israel, but we have to be able to understand the how of it, because there's steps that need to have be taking place so that we can do that. So Israel, the way Israel is, Israel cannot be taken back with great compassion and gathered back to the Father unless something happens. Something has to happen. It can't just be about him saying, all right, we're good now. You can come back to me. And we'll see why in a minute here. Let's look over here in this over here. Let's look over in Ezekiel 16. Let's read some of this. Verse 6. Read 6 down through 14.
So then I passed by you and saw you trampled down in your own blood, and I said to you, in your blood, live. I have said to you, in your blood, live. I have let you grow like a plant in the field, and you are grown and are great, and you come in the finest ornaments. Breasts were formed, and your hair grew, and you were naked and bare. Again, I passed by you and looked upon you and saw that your time was the time of carnal love. And I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. And I swore an oath to you and entered into the covenant with you, and you became mine, declares the Master Yahweh.
Here, let's just stop right there. So we see this thing, the Most High is speaking about Israel in a way like we would speak about like coming across a woman somewhere, and you watching over in her development as you're going through your choosing processes in your mind, right? You seen her from afar, you see her growing up, you see her developing, right? And you become you take a liking to this particular woman. We talking about the Most High, talk about Israel, right? And see that she's ready, she's ripe for the picking, right? And so he goes over, right, and he chooses her, right? He sees all of the goodness of Israel and decides to choose Israel and make a covenant with Israel, right? And say, you have become mine. I want to think about verse 8 for a minute over here, because that's where it says, and I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness, right? We could think about this in literal sense in terms of him doing a specific thing as taking a piece of clothing and covering an individual. But we could also think about it in the idea of the spiritual covering that a man provides for a woman, right? Where the nakedness, the idea of being vulnerable and needing to be covered, right? Nakedness, just by very definition, actually needs to be covered, right? And so when we think about the idea of the Most High seeing this individual who's Israel, who's a picture of this woman who needs protection and needs covering, where he comes and provides that for her. But we want to look at this other here. Let's look over to the Psalms real quick and thinking about this. And again, we think about the middle part, right? We thinking about the part of getting us to the end so we could get back to the beginning, right? So let's look at Psalms 36. Psalms 36 and verse 7. What's that say?
How precious is your loving commitment, O Elohim, and the sons of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings.
Okay, very good. So when we think about the idea of spreading the skirt or the shadow of the wings, and the way that men take refuge in Most High, in the Elohim, is understanding his character and what he actually even provides. So we gain that through his commandments. We gain that through his character and understanding who he is. So when we see these things about these wings and these skirts that are being spread, we could think about it in terms of the protection that the Most High provides, which we see inside of his commandments. So it's like the Most High offered his commandments to Israel so that Israel can be protected. Right? He offered his character to Israel so that Israel could be protected. He saw that Israel was a likely candidate for his compassion and goodness to be poured all over them, but he also saw that they needed to have something that would actually strengthen them and change them. And again, we see the same thing over in let's see, 57. It just kind of the same idea of 57 and 1. What's that say?
Show me favor, O Elohim, show me favor, for in you my being is taken refuge, and in the shadow of your wings I take refuge until destruction passes by.
Right. So this is hyperbole, right? This is not like literal wings. We're talking about the character of the Most High, which again is his law, statute, commandments, right? His character being impressed on the people, which is the thing that we're able to take refuge in, right? Until destruction passes. Okay, so let's go back to Ezekiel. We want to keep on going. Where do we leave off? Verse 9.
And I washed you in water, and I washed off your blood, and I anointed you with oil, and I dressed you in embroidered work, and gave you sandals of leather, and I wrapped you in fine linen and covered you with silk.
Right, he's taking care of his bride. Right, he's decking her out and all of this wonderful things. Right, you're not gonna sit around here and be walking around in rags with holes in it. Right, I'm gonna get you nothing but this finest embroidered work, leather sandals. Right, all of this beautifulness. Right, go ahead.
And I adorn you with ornaments, and I put bracelets on your wrists and a chain on your neck.
She got all kinds of shine, right, and bling, right? He's not playing around. He's not playing no games out here. Like he saw this old bloody mess over there, but he saw the potential in that, right? He saw the potential in that young one that just needed to just kind of just get cleaned up a little bit, washed and anointed, right? And then what else?
They took her to the mall. You know what I'm saying? So all the little kiosks and everything. And said, and I put a ring on your nose and earrings in your ears and a crown of adorning on your head.
Now remember, he talked about Israel. Now he talking about Israel. This is what he did. Go ahead.
Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your dress was of fine linen and silk and embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour and honey and oil, and you were exceedingly beautiful and became fit for royalty.
Mm-hmm.
And your name went out among the nations because of your loveliness, for it was perfect by my splendor, which I had put on you, declares the Master.
Okay,
Yahweh.
okay, very good. So we see over here now the word is starting to get out now. Now, who's this one that the Most High done got over here? This one that he got. She is all of that. She is so beautiful. Like it says, my splendor. It says among the nations, right? Your name went out among the nations because of your loveliness, but it's the loveliness that he put on her, right?
It wasn't in her.
It wasn't.
Yeah, potential.
He brought out all of her goodnesses, but he did it though, right? The stuff that I put on you, a name started to be named among the nations because of the way that the Most High made you. But then what happened in 15?
But you trusted in your own loveliness and whored because of your name, and poured out your whorings on everyone passing by who would have it. It says, and you took some of your garments and made multicolored high places for yourself and whored them out, which should not have come about, nor shall it be.
Okay, so this woman did start tripping, right? And so the woman is Israel, though. Right? The woman is Israel. She was a certain kind of way. She got put in a certain position because of who she was with, and she started feeling herself. And then she went out here, and then she just lost her ever-loving mind over here. Right? That's what happened. Right? She lost her mind, but we're talking about Israel, though. And so it's giving you this imagery, right, where it's kind of explicit, right? But it's talking about the way that Israel started dipping and dabbling in these other nations' things, right? From a spiritual perspective, right? All types of gross iniquity mixing with these other nations.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, and it still continues today, because the Most High blesses us with talents and abilities, and these talents and abilities have taken us into great places, and then they start tripping. You know what I mean? They start, doing all kind of filthy and foul and just doing all kind of just weird stuff. And so nothing has changed to this day.
Yeah. And so we see how things kind of just keep on repeating themselves. But we talking about people today, they already in the foul place now already, right? We already suffering from the effects of this stuff over here that happens. So we just keep on repeating this stuff over and over again. Right? The Most High done already done judged his people, right? He already done judged the people and then had to come up with this way for the people to be able to come back. And so, but this is over here is the reason over here, right? Where and this is what happens also when you think about how people get caught up on carnality, because when we look at this, all of this stuff that he was explaining was carnal stuff, right? It was clothes, it was ice, it was jewels, right? It was the leather shoes and everything. It was all this beautiful things that was showered on them from a physical perspective, and then now they sitting up here, thinking that they something. But meanwhile, what about the inside part? And then that's another thing you could think about when you think about the old covenant being this thing that's external. It's an external thing. You're doing all of these things, right? But it's not actually transforming you on the inside. It's causing you to do things, right? But the thing that he came up with is something that caused you to be changed on the inside. So even when we see what took place over here, where he saw this woman who was Israel, and he saw the potential, and he made a covenant with Israel, and he gave Israel all of these things that caused Israel to look beautiful on the inside. Obviously, Israel was still wicked.
Kind of sounds like the story of Hosea and his wife.
It's exactly the same exact thing, right? Told to another prophet a different way. But the thought is the same thing, is where I'm taking this I don't want to say unqualified, but I don't know what else to say. Individual, unpolished, unrefined individual, and causing them to be seen as refined, even though they not. And so the same thing is true over here. But again, we talk about the middle part because dealing with the 8th day, that part after the wilderness, in order to get to that part, we got to be able to have these things be rectified. We can't be like the Israel of old, where it's the thing that is the loveliness about us is an external thing, because it's always going to end up being you going to sit up there and feel a way about yourself that's not genuine, because it's not real, because it's just external. I mean, this is obviously like you can't like this is crazy here. This here. For what, if we was to think about this as just the story part of what is actually goes on, and like when you go further down in the other verses, we know how these things work. Like prostitutes, they work for money, right? But we see later on in the verses that the prostitute goes out and pays the person for the services. The reverse even happens. Like they can't even do their wickedness in the proper way. Like their wickedness is wicked, right? Their perversion is perverted. Right? And perversion is perverted. Right? Everything's wrong. Right? And then so now when we see the fact that the Most High says, I'm going to forsake you for a little while, but I'm going to bring you back with compassion, we got to know something got to happen for this one over here. Because it ain't just about, okay, I forgive what you did. No big deal. Let's just start over again. It got to be something. Something got to happen. It can't just be about, okay, I'll just take you. Let's let bygones be bygones. That might be the case. He might let bygones be bygones, but there's like a backstory. There's like something that gets you to that place to be able to do that. Right? And so that's the thing that we got to understand. We, as people, look at the idea of being Israel and being this one who the Most High decked out with gold and silver and leather boots and all of this, and it go to our head. We the people. We the people. Right? We the people. Yeah, we the people. But he done kicked you to the curb already because of this. Already he done kicked you to the curb. He made a way for you to come back, but if you don't get in line with that way, then you over here selling yourself over here. Right?
I was just going to say self-righteousness. Yeah.
That's the definition of it right there.
No humility.
Meanwhile, I'm going to give you this righteousness. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to put it on you. I'm going to put the righteousness on you. But then you forget that it got put on you and act like you the one that
you think
did
it's you.
You did it.
Yeah, you think it's you. Like, yeah, we special. We.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift.
It was put on you. He gave you all that stuff. He washed you up. When he found you, you was a bloody mess. When you think about that, you was just this unclean thing. And then he washed you up. He puts all types of the finest oils on you. Right? But he did that. And then we forgot.
That made me think of this version does say it how I say it in the King James. Get Jeremiah 4:22.
You want to see the KJV?
Nah, just no.
Oh,
this
this
version
version.
you got. This is my first time ever looking up in this version.
What is it?
4:22. It says, "For my people are foolish; they have not known me. They are stupid children."
My goodness.
And they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge.
Dang. He made it plain right there, didn't he?
Boom. See, in the King James, it says for stupid, it says sottish, which is old English for saying stupid. But
yeah.
there it is. Translated the right way. Boom.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
Wise to do evil.
We're wise to do evil.
Yeah. And so again, we got to think about all of these things and not, be looking at ourselves and just assume that, we find out that we the people, right? And then we start thinking about ourselves a certain kind of way. Because again, when we think about the wilderness, the thing that comes before the 8th day, the thing that comes before forever, that's that trying time, right? That's the time when you going through the things. That's a time when opportunity presents itself for you to sit up here and potentially do some of these things that it was talking about in Ezekiel, and you saying, "No, I ain't doing that. There's no way I'm doing that." But again, when we look over here, even in Yirmiyahu, when we look at this, we see that this is dealing with a people who were in need of the Ruach HaKodesh. Because they had the blueprint, they had the ways, but they didn't have the spiritual strength and transformation that was necessary for true righteousness to be manifest in them. And so we see over and over with these people, our people who the Most High gave his law to. When you think about a big picture, he gave these people this thing so that we can understand why it's necessary for this other thing, this new covenant that he talks about in Jeremiah. And it's not like you could choose one. I'll just take the old one. I like that one better. Like that one didn't work. You needed the other one. You needed this other thing. Because of the fact that once particular lines are crossed, you can't go backwards. And we gotta understand these things. Let's go back to Ezekiel over here. Because I think I said this, I want to read it too. Let's go down 16. Let's read 16 and 27. Hold on. 16. 27. Read down through 30.
And see, I stretched out my hand against you and withdrew what is lawfully yours and gave you up to the desire of those who hate you, the daughters of the Philistines, who are ashamed of your wicked way. It says, and you whored with the sons of Asher without being satisfied, and you whored with them and still were not satisfied. And you increased your whoring as far as the land of traders, because Dima, and even then you were not satisfied. How weak is your heart, declares the Master Yahweh, seeing you do all this, the deeds of a shameless whore.
It's crazy. This is Israel, though. You talking about? This ain't just some old $5 whatever, right? This is Israel that he talking about, right? Here, let's go down and look at these other ones here. 47 and 48.
Yeah, go. You said
Oh,
47.
no fault.
And have you not walked in their ways and did according to their abominations, but in all your ways, you soon become more corrupt than they.
It's crazy.
As I live, declares the Master Yahweh, neither your sister Sedom nor her daughters have done as you and your daughters have done.
So the people that the Most High destroyed with fire, right? You don't work. They haven't done as much as you did. The people who he rained down fire and brimstone on, Israel did worse than them.
So Israel is the most wicked people on the planet.
Basically, that's what it's saying right
and
there.
so is that why? It's just why we need commandments more than everybody else because we're the most wicked. That's the conclusion that I'm coming to right now. It's like,
Because the scripture didn't say like if he were to go to anyone else.
yeah, that's true. He said if he was sent to any other nation, that they would listen and hearken to him.
What did I say?
So let me get it.
I'm saying, why you looking for it?
I think that's in Jeremiah.
I'm saying, what do that say?
Oh.
You can find it. I'm just saying that's saying a lot, though.
Third chapter.
That speaks to, first of all, the fact that the Most High didn't choose Israel because Israel was righteous. He chose Israel just because of Abraham.
Wow.
It didn't have nothing to do with Israel as a nation, as a people, or whatever. It's because of the promise that he made to Abraham.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to do away with them and start over from Moses.
He doing all this. He doing all this. He's enduring all this to put himself now in a position of how do he even make his word be true? He got to do some miraculous things, which he's done. But all of the things that he had to go through in order just to make his word be so is a lot. And so we got to think about all of this stuff, right? He's bringing it back to the beginning with the 8th day. He's bringing it back to the beginning. But this middle section is crazy. Like, he's loving and wanting these people to turn the one who's worse than the people who he rained down fire and brimstone on. You find that?
Yeah. I'm reading it. You want me to read something?
No. Okay, so we saying all this because when we think about the last day, right, and the fact that it represents eternity, we have to always remember that we got to make it there. It's not this place that's just sitting up waiting for us. We got to go through the things in order to get there. That's the final destination, right? But we got to follow out the ways that have been created for us so that we can get there. Because when we try to do things outside of the Ruach HaKodesh, this is where we end up at, in just gross iniquity. And we supposed to be the chosen ones. But meanwhile, this is where we at. And so while you looking for that, when we, let's see here, if we, let's see. So as I said before, because of the fact that Israel is so wicked that we found out Israel's wicked, the most wicked nation that there is, worse than this Sodom, the daughters of Sodom. Israel's worse than them. Because of that, but again, in spite of that, now the Most High said, I will with great compassion gather in. But how's he supposed to do that with these people in this state? Because they done sat up here and bind themselves. We've bound ourselves to so many other husbands. We've had all types of strange husbands, Israel did. Here, did you find it? Okay, let's read that before we go into this.
Ezekiel 3 and start at 4. It says, and he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel, and you shall speak to them with my words. For you are not sent to a people of a foreign speech and of a difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of a foreign speech and of a difficult language, whose words you do not understand. But, or if I had rather sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel is going to refuse to listen to you, for they refuse to listen to me. For all of the house of Israel are hard of head and hard of heart.
Yeah. He said all the house of Israel, yes.
Yep.
And so, yeah. And so when we look at this, it helps for us to understand that we need the Ruach HaKodesh in the worst way. Because us just knowing what the Most High said to do is not enough. That's not going to get us to the last great day. Because them people that was in the wilderness, they heard the Most High speak with their own two ears. And they seen him on top of that mountain with their own two eyes, with smoke and fire and thunders and lightnings. And they still was out there getting swallowed up in the earth, dying off of all types of natural and unnatural causes. Right? And so, these stink bugs. I don't think I got it either. And so,
We brought them in our house.
And so when we look at the fact that the Most High loves Israel in spite of all of this, but we have to understand the fact that he's not able just to say, it's okay, come on back. There's something that got to happen in order for that to be so. So we could look and see all types of scriptures where he sit up here and say, you was a whore and you sold yourself to all these people and you gave them money for you, and I'm gonna take you back anyway. He said he gonna take them back, but what he don't give you is the specifics as to how he gonna do it. But we got to understand that he couldn't have just said, okay, you're good now.
That would be against his Torah.
No. Yes. And we looking at over here. Because we got to get to the last day. We got to get there. Because it's going to be magnificent. Okay. Let's look at this real quick. Hold on. Let's look at this one, number 1 through 4.
It says, when a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if he finds no favor in his eyes, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of uncoveredness in her, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if she left his house and went and became another man's wife, and that latter husband shall hate her and write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house. Or when that latter husband dies, who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that would be an abomination before Yahweh. And do not bring sin on the land which Yahweh Elohim is giving you as an inheritance.
Okay, very good. So we see over here, first of all, he put the wife away, first of all. Second of all, she married again. That second marriage was valid, second of all. But third of all, after all of that happened, she wasn't able. And then the second one dies, right? So he died. He didn't even put her away. The second one dies, and then she won't go back to the first one. Can't be done. Because she was defiled by the relationship, in this case, by the legal, legitimate relationship that she had, defiles her for going back to the former one. And so, how much more so if you just turned into a prostitute?
Yeah.
You essentially got all types of husbands, and then you supposed to just come back. That's an abomination,
right?
And so that's talking about men. So we supposed to think that the Most High's standards are lower for men, or higher, or the same. I'm saying it's at least higher or the same.
Right.
Not lower.
It may not be higher, but it definitely ain't lower. Let's just say that. Right? And so when we look and we talk about principles now, because again, when we're thinking about the idea of these law, statutes, and commands, this is the character of the Most High humanized. So he's giving us the way to act. And if we act like this, we're acting like the Most High. And so how now is Israel able just to say, all right, I'm not going to be a prostitute anymore. I'm ready to be with the Most High again now. After he done made a covenant with them and you broke, even though I was a husband to you, like it say.
I mean, even when he says that, even though I was husband to you, that's kind of like, sounds a little bit, painful.
I know I was a husband to you, and you broke my covenant. I did all of the things that I'm supposed to sit up here and do.
He did his part.
Meanwhile, you was out here running amok. In the muck. All right, let's look at another thing over here. Let's look at Leviticus Vayikra 1. The Most High's character that he created for man is a good indication as to how we're able to understand him and his character. What does Leviticus 21:14 say? By the way, this is in regards to the priests.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
A widow or one put away, or a defiled woman, or a whore, these he does not take, but a maiden of his own people he does take as a wife.
Oh, okay. So a whore he don't take. A whore he don't take, right? So Israel, if Israel was a whore, then that mean he don't take Israel, right? Don't it mean that? Are we able to deduce that if he say for the priest now, this is what he's saying for the priest. The priest as a man can't take a whore, but the Most High could take a whore. Huh? That don't make any sense, right?
I mean, or a widow. Like
You can't take anyone. You can only take a maiden.
He could only take, but a maiden of his own people does he take? He does take a maiden, right? He touched the one that's pristine and untouched, right? That's the one the priest take. The priest was a picture of the Most High to the people. And then if his daughter became a whore, then she also became dead. Right? He can't even have no dealings. None of his even relations can even be like unfavorable. The priest. So how then we supposed to look at the Most High and say, we Israel, we good. You can't. That's the equivalent of you putting on all of these fancy clothes that he give you and feeling yourself as a result of it. And so again, in order to make it to that day, in order to make it to that last great day, we have to really go through the thing that is connected to, which is the wilderness. The trying and the testing is the only way that we get there. Because if we look and see over here, I talked about this a couple of times, but I wanted to pull the verses up. If we look over here, I'm going to look at a few verses over here because it says pretty plain in these verses what the Most High going to do at this point, what he going to do at this point, what he already done did to his people that he loved so much. What do verse 22 say right there?
Yahweh strikes you with the wasting disease and the inflammation, and with burning and an extreme heat, and with the sword, and with the blight, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish.
These things that he put on you, they're going to be on you until you die.
Yeah.
What he say in 24?
Yah makes the rain of your land powder and dust from the heavens. It comes down on you until you are destroyed.
He talking about Israel. As a result of Israel's disobedience, he gonna cause you to perish. He gonna cause you to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
What do it say in 26?
And your carcass shall be food for all of the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the earth, with no one to frighten them away.
You gonna be like that, like how Conan was getting crucified, and the little bird was coming down trying to pluck his eyeballs out, eat him while he was alive, with nobody to shoot the birds away, right? The birds are probably gonna come down from the heavens and eat you, and there ain't nothing you could do. Nobody gonna shoot them. That's what he's gonna do to his beloved Israel because of our disobedience. 29. Oh, what I just did. 29.
You shall be groping at noon, as a blind man gropes in darkness, and not prosper in your ways. And you shall be only oppressed and plundered all the days, and no one, with no one to save you.
He talking about Israel, right? And so there got to be something that's able to reverse this over here, because just by ourselves, just being Israel, if this don't get reversed, how do we get back on track? How do we make it to that last great day?
Or we can register to vote.
Trump
Trump
can't save you.
Well,
Trump can't save.
Biden, what did it say? Trust in Biden or believe.
Believe in Biden.
Oh my goodness, Biden can't save you. That said, no one can save you.
You know what I'm saying?
Believe in.
These people can't stop the oppression that the Most High put on us because of disobedience. And then even just you starting to be obedient don't change it either, because that's you saving yourself. If I could just say, all right, I'm gonna act right now. I'm gonna act right now. I'm good.
That's how much is going right now.
That would be the equivalent of you saving yourself when it say no one will save you. So you're no one too. Like, the only way that we could get back in right standing with the Most High is the same way that He chose us in the first place. When He saw us in that bloody mess, and He picked us up and washed us off and anointed us with the fine oils and decked us out in all of the things that He out. The only way is by Him doing it. That's the way we get back to the beginning, right? It's by being with the Father the way that He prescribed it in the first place, the way He created for us to be able to dwell with Him in His goodness that He creates. He creates the goodness that we dwell in and partake in. And so again, when we look over at these things and see all of this stuff now, in terms of the position of that Israel is in, but we know that through Yeshua actually makes us out of this. He reverses all of this thing. He becomes a curse for us, it said, right? He became a curse for us. He makes it possible for us to go from being that. He's the way that we're able to be washed and anointed, right? When we look at that verse over there in Ezekiel 16, we're talking about how He took that bloody mess and washed it and anointed it with oil. That's prophetic. That's messianic. That's what happens to us with Yeshua. That's what He does for us, right? That's how we make it back. That's how we are able to survive through the wilderness and make it to that last great day. The Most High seeks to restore His people, right? He seeks to restore His people. It's not. He seeks to restore His people, and He does it by the work of Yeshua and what He done for us. And when we're attached to Yeshua, when we're able to be attached to Yeshua, we're able to reverse all of these terrible things in the situation that we were in beforehand. He makes a way for us to make it through the wilderness to that last great day, which is eternity. He brings us back to, when we look at eternity, when we look at that tree of life, we look at that water of life, that's Yeshua. He's the one. And then the leaves from the tree that is Him is healing for the nation. Him getting divvied out to those that need healing, get the healing from Him. And so everything centers around Yeshua. And again, the way back to Him is actually through Him. And so we see that because of the fact the Most High made these laws, He's not able to just say, okay, I'm good with you now. Yeah, everything's done. We actually have to have that death of Yeshua so that He's able to remarry the one that He done cut off. Because He got cut off. We see that. Israel got cut off. because of Israel's whoring. Right? Israel was a wife. He was a husband. But then he had to make a new covenant because of the covenant that you broke. What he said, the house of Israel, the house of Jacob. In Jeremiah 31 and 31 and 32. You broke the covenant. Even though I was a husband to you. Because of that, I got to make this new covenant or renewed covenant with you because you broke the old one. But based on the fact that I can't just marry you after you became a whore, I'll send Yeshua to die to reset the process. And then, matter of fact, it won't even be fully complete until you die too. And so we had that reset of back to the beginning, right? Again, what we see with the last great day, going back to the beginning. You're dealing with the same people, but he gotta do a hard reset on the people, right? Because of our wickedness. So that's able to make things like what it say over here in Romans chapter 5 true. Romans 5 and 6. What does that say?
It says, "For when we were still weak, Messiah in due time died for the wicked."
Didn't he die for the wicked? He died for me. He must have died for the wicked then. He died for Israel. He must have died for the wicked then. Because we'd already established if the Most High would have sent his prophets to some other nations, they would listen to him. But in spite of all that, he still died for us. And so the last thing I wanted to just think about, as again, we think about the idea of making it to the last day, which is actually eternity, is in Hebrews. We did in Hebrews the other day too. 26. Because we gotta understand, the Most High did a lot for Israel. He did so much for us. It don't even make any sense, the stuff that he done for us. Israel was in the position where he compared them and said, you're even worse than the worst individuals. And yet still, he still had a plan for the betterment of this people. But he said right here, what that say?
So, for if we sin purposely after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a slaughtering offering for sins. This type of sinning.
That's part of footnote.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see. Let me put this over here. Hold on one second. Let me read this again. What did I say there?
For if we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifices for sins.
Okay, very good. So we have to really think about what it is that the Most High has actually done for us. Because he literally made a way that there wasn't a way to be made. When you think about the position of Israel, the place that Israel was in, it was literally impossible for that relationship to actually be restored until he came up with this thing that made it possible, which was Yeshua. All because of the promise that he made to Abraham. And so when we look at this over here, if you understand all of that, and then you actually receive, if you really receive this truth, if you really know what it is that the Most High did for you through Yeshua, and then you turn around back the other way, you can't come back. It ain't about how can you come back. There ain't no comebacks. This is serious stuff over here. There remains no more sacrifices for sins for you. If you understand, if you know what it is the Most High did for you, and then you turn your back on that, that's what it said right there. If you willfully, after we have received the knowledge of the truth, willfully sin, there remains no sacrifice for sin. Because he already did the unbelievable to even get you back to the place where he wanted you to be at in the first place. And so, just kind of closing down, we thinking about eternity, eternity, we got to make it to eternity. We got to make it to eternity. Not off our own strength, not off our own power, but the power that he provides. He has made a way for us to thrive and survive in this world, and through all types of tribulations and things. He made a way for us to get by, and he made every allowance for us to be able to be successful and make it through this thing, make it through this wilderness to that last great day. And so all we got to do is just be able to be obedient to that Ruach HaKodesh that he placed on the inside of us, and allow that spirit to grow and be the thing that leads and guides us through every step of the way, so that we could be sure and know that we will actually make it to that promised land and be over there and be able to enjoy that last day that it speaks about over there in Revelations and 22. What was that verse I read first in 22? I'm gonna read down some just to end off. What was you gonna say?
Did you go to John 7:37?
John?
Yeah.
No, what
Where
that say?
Yeshua stood up, on the last day.
Oh no, I didn't go to that. You want to hear that?
Well, that goes with this.
7:37.
39.
37. Yeah, what that say right there?
Oh, in the last day, the great day of the feast, Yeshua stood and cried, saying, "If any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. But this spake he of the Spirit, which they that believe on him shall receive. For the Holy Spirit was not yet given, because Yeshua was not yet glorified."
Yeah, very good. So when we see over here, Yeshua was talking to these people on the last great day, telling them the essentials actually to life, which is reminiscent of what we see over in Revelation in terms of that tree of life and that river of life. There's a way to get there. There's only one way actually to get there, and that is through the thing that Yeshua has done for us, his death, burial, resurrection, and his going back to the Father, sending us the Ruach HaKodesh. And then not only receiving the Ruach HaKodesh, but actually walking in the Spirit, right? That's the thing that we need. So in other words, we need that life in order to receive life, right? We need that life in order to receive life. We need that life to be able to receive that life that the Most High has given to us through, what Yeshua has done. But I wanted to look at, lastly, over here. Let's see where it's at. Revelation 22. I mentioned it, but I think it's down from. Yeah. So we read 1 and 2. Let's read number 3. Let's start reading that. Hold on. Let me change this. Start reading that verse 3 right there.
And no longer shall there be any curse, and the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be upon their foreheads. And night shall be no more, and they shall have no need of a lamp or the light of the sun, because Yahweh Elohim shall give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever.
Very, very good. So right there, we talking about the last day. That's the last day, right? You don't have a need for the sun or a lamp because there's no darkness. It's only light. The last day is about dwelling with the Most High forever. That's the destination. That's what we try and get to. But the only way that we get there is through an authentic relationship with Yeshua, right? So that we are able to be in a place of, returning from that foul place that we've ended up as a result of our forefathers and, quite frankly, as a result of our own selves subsequently afterwards, right? Okay, very good. So, does anybody have any thoughts or questions or additions, comments, what have you? You got to make it over there. You got to make it there to that last day.
Those who maintain to the end,
Those that endure to the end.
say.
And that wilderness is rough. We done brought some wilderness back with us. That wilderness is rough, but we got to make it. We gonna make it. We ain't gonna turn back, right? We gonna keep on striving and surviving in the Most High. Okay, very good. So that being said,
I think that also just getting into the wilderness is one thing, I think a lot of us get in there, we're walking and we think we're sure. But
yeah.
Even Paul was saying to what he said about to make sure that we're firmed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's placing things in our way to make sure that we're sure.
Yeah.
Because he wants us to make it over there. He wants us to make it there. But, all of that takes testings and trials. And again, we got the cheat sheet already. He giving you a test, but you got the answers already.
Yeah.
But if you got the cheat sheet, but you don't look at it, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
You trust in your own knowledge to pass the test. Meanwhile, he gave you the study guide to look at. It's an open book test.
This is the secret place of the Most High. You dwell in it. You know what I'm saying? You good. Tell you everything.
He set us up to survive. But for whatever reason, we get to be like them people back there in Ezekiel and think that is us, not him. Meanwhile, it's all him, right?
That verse, that would be like 1 Corinthians 10, verse 12. Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about Israel in the wilderness in that section.
Yeah. So that's what we got to do. We got to take heed lest we fall. We got to understand that he indeed loves us, and he went through great lengths to make sure that we make it to that last great day. So I'm just trying to make it. I'm trying to be over there.
Me too.
Right? Hallelujah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that being said, we're gonna say for now, we're gonna say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your last great day. And y'all willing that you make it to the last great day. For real. Okay, all right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
That's funny.